Red blood cell production. The specific purpose is to inform the audience of how our blood cells are produced. On the inside of these cells, cytoplasm is an highly rich hemoglobin, which is an iron-containing biomolecule that could bind oxygen while also giving our blood its color. The introduction. Our red blood cells are also called erythrocytes, which are the most common blood cell. The vertebrate organism's principal means of delivering oxygen into the lungs and then releases it while it squeezes through the body's capillaries. Inside of these cells, cytoplasm is highly rich hemoglobin, which is an iron-containing biomolecule that could bind oxygen while giving blood its color. Inside of humans, mature red blood cells are flexible and oval bioconcave disc. Red blood cells don't have a cell nucleus, and it also doesn't contain most of the organelles to accommodate the maximum space of hemoglobin. Every single second, 2.4 million of new erythrocytes are produced in the bone marrow, and they circulate for about 100 to 120 days inside the body before the components are recycled by the big eaters, also known as macrophages. Every circulation will take up to approximately 20 seconds. There are about a quarter of cells in the human body that are red blood cells. Red blood cells production is an important part of our body. Red blood cells deliver oxygen to the body's tissues and the blood flow through the capillaries. Red blood cells take oxygen up to the lungs and then releases it while squeezing through the body capillaries. Formation of the red blood cells. The red blood cells develop inside the bone marrow, and they also circulate for about 100 to 120 days inside the body before their components are eaten up by macrophages. Each circulation will take up to approximately 20 seconds. About 1/4 of all red blood cells are inside of the body. Red blood cells cytoplasm is highly rich in hemoglobin, as announced earlier, which is an iron-containing biomolecule that can bind oxygen, and it is also responsible for the color of our blood. In humans, red blood cells that are mature are oval and flexible bioconcave discs. Red blood cells lack a nucleus and most organelles to accommodate maximum space for hemoglobin. Approximately 2.4 million new erythrocytes are produced every single second. Oxygen is easily diffused through the red blood cell's cell membrane. Inside red blood cells are hemoglobin, which carries some of the waste product, carbon dioxide, back from the tissues. Most of them waste carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is also transported back to the pulmonary capillaries of the lungs as bicarbonate, which dissolves in the blood plasma. A compound that is related to hemoglobin that acts to house oxygen inside muscle cells is called myoglobin. Colors of red blood cells is due to the hemigroup of hemoglobin. Blood plasma is straw-colored, however, red blood cells change colors depending on the state of the hemoglobin. When combined with oxygen, the resulting oxyhemoglobin is scarlet. Then when oxygen is released, the results of the deoxyhemoglobin is a dark burgundy color, which appears a bluish color through the vessel wall and the skin. Pulse oximetry directly measures that arterial blood oxygen saturation using colorimetric techniques by taking advantage of the color change. Red blood cells have secondary functions. As red blood cells undergo shear stress in constricted vessels, or they release ATP that causes the vessel walls to dilate to promote normal blood flow. When red blood cells' hemoglobin molecules are deoxygenated, they release S-nitrosis while they act to dilate the vessels, which directs more blood to areas of the body depleted of oxygen. It was recently demonstrated that red blood cells can synthesize nitric nitric acid, enzymatic, excuse me, while using L-arginine as a substrate, just as endothelial cells. Red blood cells can also produce hydrogen sulfide, which is signaling gas that acts to relax the vessel walls. Red blood cells also play a role in the immune response when they are lysed by pathogens such as bacteria. Their hemoglobin will then release free radicals that will break down the pathogen's cell wall and membrane, killing it. Erythropoiesis is the process of which new red blood cells are formed. It lasts approximately 7 days. Throughout this process, red blood cells are constantly being produced in the red bone marrow of the large bones at the rate of approximately 2 million per second in a healthy adult. The main site of red blood cell production is in the liver while an embryo. Stimulation of the hormone erythropoietin is synthesized by the kidney. Before or after leaving the bone marrow, the developed cells are known as reticulocytes. They comprise approximately 1% of the circulating red blood cells. In conclusion, erythrocytes are also known as red blood cells and are the most common blood cell in the body. The principal means of delivering oxygen into the body's tissues and blood flow through the circulatory system. Red blood cells take oxygen into the lungs and then releases it while it squeezes through the body's capillaries. On the inside of these cells, cytoplasm is a highly rich hemoglobin, which is an iron containing biomolecule that could bind oxygen while giving our blood its color. Our body goes through so many little details that make us who we are, and it keeps us going every day. It's amazing how our body works, even down to the red blood cell production.